Today we're going to be bringing Kissy Missy to life through the power of cinema. Hello everybody, my name is Alexander Griffin, owner, CEO, and creative director of Dream Corridor Productions. Today we're going to be revisiting Poppy Playtime, specifically Chapter 2, with Kissy Missy. Now, in one of my recent videos, I brought Huggy Wuggy to life using the power of cinema in his scene just past the Playtime Co. Welcome Center. And by the results of that, I just couldn't resist to do something from Poppy Playtime Chapter 2, specifically with Kissy Missy. Now, I also got this doll from the Poppy Playtime store, which I'll leave the link to in the description below. So I'm very excited to try this out as well for Kissy Missy. So in my playthrough of Poppy Playtime Chapter 2, I analyzed the scene where Kissy Missy first reveals herself, but I wasn't too in-depth with how it would be created.
Could that be Huggy Wuggy? No, it's not. It's Kissy Missy. Good job. Do you have a key light here combined with the light from earlier here? But then we have a backlight pointing away, so we don't get to see any of the color of her fur until she ends up right around here and hits the lever.
So I think I have a little bit more creative freedom when it comes to creating the shot for Kissy Missy, so let's give it a try.
So here's my game plan. I still don't have access to an entire abandoned toy factory, but this time the background will be an important factor to integrate into this shot. So I'm going to be using a white poster board as the backdrop for Kissy, who will be in the center. To the front of Kissy and to her right, to us our left, will be a singular LED light shining down on her. But directly behind that light is some masking to create a shadow, keeping Kissy's fur color a surprise until she steps into the light. Behind Kissy and to her left, to us our right, is the Chauvet DJ 4-bar LTBT with all 4 lights set to the brightest white to shine directly onto the background. And to capture it all is the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. So here's the shot I have set up. Kissy is actually starting in the light, and I'll be pushing her backwards into the shadow. The reason? Focusing. I want to make sure that by the end of the finished cut she's in focus, and I can't really look at the screen while operating the stand she's attached to. So the easiest thing to do is perform the shot in reverse and then play the shot backwards in post. Now, the camera is set up for this shot at 24 frames per second, a 48th shutter speed, ISO 100, and an f-stop of 19. This is important given that when Kissy is in the shadow, we can't tell the color of her fur well, or preferably at all. We have a white balance of 4500K with a tint of 15. And like last time, I used my Canon EFS 18-55mm lens on my Blackmagic camera with a focal length of approximately 25mm. Now, unlike the original shot, I wanted Kissy to end up in a close-up to really emphasize the difference between when she's in the light and when she's in shadow. This is film, not a video game engine. Anyway, I rehearsed the shot a few times, making sure that I didn't move Kissy around too much and cause her to shake. Unfortunately, that wasn't the easiest thing to do, but not to worry, such a thing as post-production exists. Speaking of which, after filming was complete, I took the Blackmagic raw files into Adobe Premiere Pro and picked the one with the least amount of shake. I created a short loop of when Kissy was standing still and moved it to before her reveal so that I could add the opening door. More on that later. I customized the color profile of the shot to brighten the background and lower the shadows, and I upped the exposure and the contrast. Despite the strength of these lights and the setup of the shot, Kissy's pink fur was still somewhat clear, so for the beginning of the shot, I lowered the saturation and the temperature and I added a slight green tint. However, I would need a different color profile for when Kissy stepped into the light, so I automated the temperature, the tint, and the saturation to increase as Kissy got closer and the light revealed her. I love how the automation of the color added a brief blue to the background, suggesting that Huggy could be the one who was walking towards us, but as the automation continues, the background returns to a neutral white, reassuring us that it is indeed Kissy. Next, I nested the entire sequence, applied a warp stabilizer, and I added a very slight zoom out with ease in and ease out keyframes. For an added effect, as seen on the walls in the game during Kissy's entrance, I applied a strobe effect and dialed it in to replicate a malfunctioning tube light across the whole shot. I also applied a transform effect and dialed down the shutter angle to make the strobe effect more realistic. For the opening door, I took a stock image of an industrial metal door, lowered the brightness and contrast, added a lens and a motion blur, and animated the door with position keyframes. Tack on some scary sound effects and ambient music, and you've got a real-life Kissy Missy.
Again, look at what we created, y'all. It looks awesome. Seriously, Kissy is a star. Well, not that she wasn't a star beforehand, but you know what I mean. Well, that does it for this video with Poppy Playtime Chapter 2. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like and comment down below. Also, please hit subscribe and hit the gray bell icon so you get notified whenever Dream Corridor Productions posts a new video. Again, thank you very much for watching. My name is Alexander Griffin, and I will see you next time.
And hey, since you stayed until the end of the video, why don't you check out my exclusive speedrun of Poppy Playtime Chapter 1. I have a record time of just over 8 minutes and 10 seconds, which may not be too impressive to some, but it's still worth something to me. Link to the unlisted video is in the description.